12 at 6, warmer weather and fire season approaching, communities are ensuring that they're prepared for any fires that may come. Plus, state treasurers are sounding the alarm over President Trump's tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. But what would those tariffs mean for your wallet?
And some dry weather expected for tomorrow and through the weekend as well. We'll time out when wet weather will likely return to the region, though, coming up.
Live, local, late breaking. This is NewsWatch 12 at 6.
We begin tonight with breaking news. 3 U.S. soldiers have been arrested for conspiring to commit bribery and theft of government property. 2 of them are charged in the District of Oregon. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Haley Gravitt. The District of Oregon says the 2 soldiers began conspiring to gather sensitive military information around November 28th of 2021. The information includes technical manuals which were transmitted between soldiers for money. More information can be found on our website, kdrv.com. And we're continuing our coverage of the Medford School District, today marking the 1 week since Dr. Brett Champion, the superintendent, announced his resignation. It's also the first time the district is meeting since Champion announced his resignation. Today, Dr. Champion reflected on his 6 years of service, the challenges that led to his decision, and what lies ahead for the Medford School District.
Board has a couple of huge responsibilities, really 3. 1 is policy, 2 is approving the budget, and 3, the board has 1 employee, and that's the superintendent. And whenever I say this board election is important, that's what I mean.
Champion also expressed his deep gratitude for the support that he has received for the community since announcing his resignation. The board is meeting right now for the first time since his resignation. The agenda has discussion on the next steps to fill his replacement. We will be tuning into that later on at NewsWatch 12. The district is discussing Champion's resignation as well as next steps for the North Medford High School gym. NewsWatch 12 is at that meeting and we'll bring you those details later. Be sure to stay tuned for NewsWatch 12 at 11. And now we are taking a stunning view tonight out at Gold Beach. This view brought to you by Jerry's Rogue Jets. So happy to see the sun setting at 6 p.m. tonight. Such a beautiful lookout. We thank all of our weather cams for showing us these beautiful sunsets. Let's check in with Storm Tracker 12 Chief Meteorologist Matt Hoffman, who knows there's nothing I love more than a good sunset.
Oh, I know it. And God, stunning sunsets out there tonight. Take a look across our region. Another pretty one in Mount Shasta as well. You can see some of that snow reflecting on top of Warner Butte in Medford as well. Just some beautiful views. If you have a sunset photo, we'd love to see it. Email weather@kdrv.com. But with the breaks in the clouds that we're seeing, it is going to be a cold one tonight. Take a look at temperatures right now around the region. 54 in Grants Pass. It's 51 in Medford. Colder on the east side. Temperatures in the 40s and 30s, 32 only in Lakeview. And then when you factor in the wind, it is still fairly breezy across much of the region. These winds will relax, but we definitely do have a wind chill factor out there. It feels like 35 degrees in Klamath Falls. Feels like 26 degrees in Lakeview. But those winds will diminish as the storm system pulls away. We may see a stray snow shower or flurry into Lake County tonight, but otherwise just looking for mostly clear skies. We will see some low clouds, potentially a little bit of fog developing in some of our west side valleys. Falling to 32 tonight in Grants Pass and Medford, 21 in Klamath Falls. Now tomorrow, cold and frosty morning, but the afternoon will be mostly sunny. We'll stay dry tomorrow, and we'll have much lighter winds. Temperatures bump up as well. So maybe a round of golf on your Friday. It looks quite nice. Fairly light winds will stay dry, and temperatures bumping up to around 60 tomorrow in the Rogue Valley and pushing 50 in the Klamath Basin. Some even milder weather in store for the weekend. We'll talk temperatures through the weekend and a look into next week as well coming up.
Matt, thank you. And today, state treasurers across the country are urging the Trump administration to not just pause tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, but to take them completely off the table. That includes Oregon Treasurer Elizabeth Steiner, who says appliances, electronics, and clothing would be more expensive for all of us. Tim Quidadamo gives us a look at the numbers.
Canada, Mexico, and China are 3 of Oregon's top 4 trading partners, accounting for more than $15 billion a year each in exports from our state.
The Peterson Institute for International Economics predicts President Trump's tariffs would cost the typical U.S. household more than $1,200 a year.
Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance.
It's been a little more than a month since President Trump ordered 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada, plus a 10% tariff on Chinese imports. And we're already starting to see that disturbance in the stock market. The Dow Jones has fallen nearly 5%, the S&P 500 more than 5.5%, and the NASDAQ has fallen 8.7% in the last month alone. While the Trump administration is pausing tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods until April, Vice President J.D. Vance today still emphasizing the goal of these tariffs, despite doubts from state treasurers.
The way to avoid application of the tariffs is to have your factory and have your facility in the United States of America.
Anybody who thinks you can build a manufacturing plant in 30 days has never operated in the real world. I can't even build one out of Lego in 30 days.
In Oregon, I'm Tim Quidadamo.
Now, with some Bear Creek Greenway projects on hold, one is utilizing volunteer efforts. Save the Phoenix Wetlands and multiple volunteers work to identify and map over 220 active nesting cavities. County officials were able to ensure that these important trees stay standing.
There's a controversy with people look at these snags, some people, and think, oh gosh, it's really ugly. Well, you know, sure, it may be ugly, but that's part of nature, and it's part of the recovery process.
The project not only highlights the challenges of balancing fire prevention with wildfire preservation, but also showcasing the significance of community involvement. English says the effort was an example of how timely intervention can prevent devastating impacts on local ecosystems. The group hopes that their success is protecting these trees will be inspiring future projects to incorporate environmental considerations. And while the Carolinas face raging wildfires, tomorrow marks 2 months since the devastating fire started in California. The Palisades and Eaton fires burned thousands of buildings to the ground and left the community scrambling to recover. Those fires also left our own community bracing for the approach of fire season. NewsWatch 12's Rocky Walker spent the day in Jacksonville, where firefighters are testing and inspecting fire hydrants to avoid a potential disaster.
Red, orange, green, and blue, a rainbow of fire hydrants working as a hidden code, telling firefighters how many gallons of water the hydrant can push out per minute.
When we pull up to a scene and we see that it's either red or blue, we know that we're either going to have enough water or we're not. So that lets us let our IC know how much water we're going to need and if we're going to need more resources or if we're not going to need more resources.
For the next 2 months, Jacksonville Fire is doing flow and pressure tests on their hydrants, going through a database as they test them, ensuring all 259 hydrants in the city are tested every 3 years.
Not only do we want to be able to provide a certain level of service in an emergency, but we want to know exactly what we can count on.
Through the tests, they flush out the gravel and sediment that, if left to settle and build up, could damage or clog pumps and hoses when the water is needed to fight a fire.
So the larger stuff can get stuck in our strainer, go into our pump, and then smaller stuff can actually get stuck in our nozzle. So we're actually, when we're in the building fighting the fire, it could limit our water supply and how much water we're getting out of the nozzle.
In the Alameda fire, hydrants ran dry, largely due to damaged lines from the blaze. In the recent LA wildfires, hydrants ran dry due to too much water coursing through them. When asking about any fears for this happening in Jacksonville, they said,
we have 4.2 million gallons stored in water tanks on Jacksonville. So if we were flowing a high amount of gallons per minute, we would still be able to last days upon days because that water that's being stored is constantly getting refilled and refilled.
And this Saturday, there is going to be a town hall to repeal wildfire hazard maps. The maps were developed as part of Senate Bill 762. The bill provides more than $200 million to modernize Oregon's wildfire preparedness. But these maps are creating concern for landowners and their insurance rates. A state senator, representatives, and Jackson County Commissioner will be hosting this town hall with other elected officials. Jackson County Commissioner Colleen Roberts said, "I would encourage any landowner to file an appeal." The town hall on Saturday will provide more detail as to how the mapping is flawed and get answers and dialogue about the current status in Salem from our state representatives who come. Now, the meeting will be from 2 to 4 p.m. at White Mountain Middle School in White City. The meeting is ahead of the deadline to file an appeal to ODF to repeal Senate Bill 762. More information can be found on our website. And the California State Fire Marshal updated the fire hazard severity zones map to include local responsibility areas as well as state responsibility areas. The map identifies what areas are what and what units are responsible for them. This comes in the wake of the devastating LA fires.